Okay, so today I'd like to talk about an article I read about Syria in the War Cry magazine and how it relates to the work I'm doing with WFWP and also True Father's Life and Ideals. First of all, I wanted to give you a little background about my life. When I was young, I wanted to be an actress. You know, everybody has that kind of idea. You always with your relatives and they say, what do you want to be? And you go, so I went, I want to be an actress. But my mum said, no, that's not a good idea. So she said, you'll be a teacher. So that's what I wanted to be after that, because my auntie was a teacher. Loved my auntie. I thought, I'll be a teacher. So that's what I wanted to do. But then when I was at university, I was in a play. It's called Oh, What a Lovely War. I don't know if you've heard about it. No, I didn't realise it was written by Richard Attenborough. But actually, it's about a family and the 3 children are in the front line. They're in the war. And the parents get fed up being at home by themselves, so they go to the war. And they go to the war, and they're sitting there, and then and there's the bombs and everything, and they go, hello, darling, how are you? And they bring them sandwiches, and they have a picnic in the middle of the war, in the trenches. And it's like really, it's a satire on war, like why would you have war, and the families are separated and everything. I didn't realise how deeply it had affected me, but actually, it makes you think, please don't let there ever be a war. I would hate to be separated from my brothers, from my uncles and everything. Like, I had 3 uncles that were in the war, and it was really traumatic for them and the families. So, and my dad was in it as well. He was in the merchant navy, actually. They had no guns. He was being fired at all the time, and he was there were 6 ships in the fleet that he was in. 4 of them were bombed. They never found them, and the only 2 that survived was the one that my dad was on another ship. So, and my dad was like quite traumatized by that, and that had a big effect on me. So, you know, people that have been in war don't want war. Isn't that right? It was at the MacRoberts Centre at the University of Stirling, and it nearly went to the Fringe in the Edinburgh Festival. So I was thinking, when I realised, I thought, I don't really want to be an actress. I want to be something else. So that was what I had a big realization. And then I thought, what will I do then with my life? What will I do? And then I thought, I'll be a missionary in Africa. It's, you know, you think it's glamorous, it's a different country. I thought, I'm going to go there and do something with my life. But then I realized, okay, it's poor there. I'm just a single person. What can I do? I'll probably end up being like them. I might get killed or something. I thought, no, maybe I could influence the world more. If I stayed in a country where I got money, I'd send it to them and do something. So then I studied French and German. I thought, right, I'll work in the UN. I'll be able to influence lots of people there. I'll be able to do a lot of things in the UN. Then I thought, but I want children. I want a big family. Oh, that's going to be my main goal. And so I thought, I won't be able to do it if I'm a really important person, the diplomat going here, there, and everywhere. You know, at that time, for women, you were either you had your career or you had your children. So I thought, I'd rather have children. That's 2 fathers' ideals, 2 parents' ideals. So already, like, I could see how God was preparing me, like, not at the time, but afterwards, reflecting. So I settled on being a professor of French and German at Stirling University. But as you see, that didn't happen because I finished my degree and then I went to France to teach English, had a deep experience there, religious experience, and then I came back to England, got guided to come back to England. I met this church, Unification Church. So that my life never looked back from then. And 6,000 couple, I have 5 children. Central London Church secretary for WFWP with Anne Kobayashi, who's the chair. We work a lot with a peace project for Jordan. That's how it connects to Syria and to True Father with his MEPI, Middle East Peace Initiative. So that's why I want to link all up with, I don't think I said that actually. I'd like to talk about how it relates to father's life and ideals. So that's how it links up. So sorry, I've left you with that thing there. So the next slide is this one. This is the article. It's from the War Cry, which is the magazine from the Salvation Army. For a time I was working with them, and their articles are very good, their articles. So this one, I just read it, and we studied it one time at the WFWP study group. We have a study group every month. And so this is about this lady called, she's called Samara Levy, and she felt called by God to do something for the children in Syria, because she was watching TV one day, and she saw the children in the snow with flip-flops and no socks. So she just thought, what can I do? I've got loads of clothes there from my children. I'll give them to Syria. Let's find a way. There was no one to do it, so she thought, how do I do this then? So she just, in the end, she worked together with some other people, and she brought a lot of things to Syria. She just thought, how can I do it? She had young children. She thought, what can I do? Like, it's us, right? What would you do? How do you send stuff? Often you get that dilemma, don't you? Well, I've got things, I'll send them to Africa. How do you do it? It's hard. So she took it there. She took all the stuff there eventually. She saved up, and she got there. She got some support from someone, and she took the things to the Syrian people, and they were really grateful. And she's helped like 1 million people now. That she's the whole article just goes on to tell you what she's done, and there's pictures of what happened, in Syria, the life of the people there. So you can imagine, like all the buildings are bombed. There's like you must have trouble getting food and water and education for your children, and the bombs are there. So it's very traumatic. And how would you be able to survive in that situation if it was your own situation? So that inspired me, because we do, in Women's Federation, for a few years now, you probably remember, we've been doing Project for Peace in Jordan. It's run by this lady called Hisao. She's a Japanese sister, and she works there, but she's no money. You know what I mean? So the sisters in different parts of the world, in the Middle East region, have been fundraising by selling. We do it by making blankets and knitting things. That ring a bell? Who's done it before? Anyway, this was knitted by my group at work, and they donated it to us. So we work together, don't we? And so it's a bit emotional, actually, because you think of the parents and everything there. Like the people that are actually in that, the camps there, they have no rights. They're Syrian, they're Muslims, they're in a Muslim country, but they've no rights. They will never have any rights. So this lady tries to alleviate that situation by teaching them numeracy and literacy. Yeah. So there is a website, but I couldn't find it. I'm sorry, it must be down or something, because I used to just go on Facebook and it was on there. So I'm sorry, I don't have a slide about that. But if you want to know more about it, you can ask us later. So it's Zoe Bennett. She's the Vice President for the Middle East, and she is working. She often goes there, and she's often in charge of doing things there and sending relief. But it's mainly this sister Hisao who's doing this stuff. So, as you may know, WFWP is an NGO. What's that? Non-government organization. So there's many, many of them, but actually we have eco-stock status, which is a bit more, and it can give you more advantages. You can work with different organizations. So through Women's Federation, we were able to do a lot of things, and this was hard fought to get this. Tina Coombs, in 1997, we had no money, and we had to pay £200 a year to be part of this, and she somehow got the money, and it's kept going. So thank you to Tina, because it's very, very valuable, and you can work in the UN, which Carolyn Hanshin and a lot of the sisters are doing that. And so that's part of what Anne and I do. We do knitting, like sometimes Anne does knitting. It's usually me or Pat. But we like to have coffee mornings and do the knitting together. And it's good for Pat because Pat is disabled, so we go and see her. She's a long-term member. And so this is how people survive, by our donations. And I'm not fundraising, actually. Yeah, I'm not fundraising. I'm just telling you what we're doing. And then you'll see how it relates to what Father's doing later on. So then also, I just want to say, well, in connection with WFWP, there's a young women's speech contest. And we've just started it in our branch. We did it last year. It was very successful. Anne organised it. She sent it on to Eventbrite, and she's going to do that this year. Last year, we had 2 people from Eventbrite, 1 from UBF. So that was 3 people, totally independent of the church. And so we just want to expand it out a little bit. Maybe we can get people involved in our church to do it as well. But it's no problem if we can still do it. It's going to be in June. And then the final will be on October the 5th. So then, do you remember when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait? Does anybody remember? Well, True Father was shocked, and everybody was shocked. And True Father immediately sprang into action, and he sent people to Israel with MEPI. That's when Middle East Peace Initiative started. And it was a knee-jerk reaction from True Father, like, we've got to get in there and do something. And he had emergency meetings. He had emergency meetings with really all the top muftis from the Muslim community, because he was concerned. You see, Muslim religion is above state. So even if one state is attacked, that you've attacked the whole Muslim population. And so True Father was really serious, because America had attacked Saddam Hussein. So True Father did that to prevent a war, the Third World War, and he started the trips to Israel, and because that's a nation where there's Muslim and Jewish and Christians. You see, they're there, and so I've got quotes. Actually, I couldn't go because I had my boy. My little boy was born, and I was 48. And I had a husband who had a nervous breakdown, and I couldn't leave him with 5 children. So I didn't go, unfortunately, but I supported another sister. She went, and so through that I could get some kind of, support. I went. And so it was a big, very big project that went on for many, many years because of this unity between the 3 very important nations. Now, I've got a quote, but I don't think it's on a slide. It is on a slide somewhere, but I've got it here. It's at the bottom paragraph. I first set foot in Jerusalem in 1965. This was before the Six-Day War, and Jerusalem was still under Jordan's territorial control. I went to the Mount of Olives, where Jesus shed tears of blood in prayer just prior to being taken to the court of Pontius Pilate. I put my hand on a 2,000-year-old olive tree that could have witnessed Jesus' prayer that night. I drove 3 nails in that tree, 1 for Judaism, 1 for Christianity, and 1 for Islam. I prayed for the day when these 3 families of faith would become one. World peace cannot come unless Judaism, Christianity, and Islam embrace as one. Those 3 nails are still there. The True Father is really serious. Like, he's not just unification, as we know. So, anyway, that inspired me. You see, the True Father is an anti-communist, and he believes in God, but actually, he goes beyond that. You know that. So he liked Yasser Arafat. He went to talk to him quite a lot, and he was an out-and-out terrorist in the beginning. Sorry, but he was. And his face was like smiling, but actually behind the scenes, he was the leader of the Palestinian Liberation Organization. And he did a lot of terrible things. But actually, True Father met with him 12 times. You see? And Yasser Arafat loved True Father. And the late Yasser Arafat led the Palestinians for a long time. Like all political leaders, he had hoped for peace, but he was also associated with strife in the region. Right. So at that time, he embodied the determination for the Gaza Strip and the West Bank to become an independent Palestinian state. Right. So then, the road, that's miss a paragraph, the road to Arafat's office was literally a difficult one. Anyone approaching his office had to pass between heavily armed guards and submit to at least 3 body searches along the way. But when our members arrived, Arafat, wearing his keffiyeh, traditional headgear, would welcome them warmly. These sorts of relationships cannot be built in a day or 2. They come from years of pouring out our sincerity and devotion for the sake of Middle East peace. See, that's why they had the MEPI. Like, lots of sisters went, and lots of brothers as well, but a lot of people went, and they witnessed in the streets and around the houses, on the Palestinian side and the Israeli side, so that they could bring people together. That was unheard of at that time. It was very life-threatening as well. It was very dangerous. But people did it. You know, in the audience, there's people here that did it as well. So finally, we could gain the trust of both Arafat and top Israeli leaders, which allowed us to play a mediating role during outbreaks of conflict in the Middle East. I love it. I love this book. I've read it like 15 times. I can't get enough of it. It's like my lifeblood, this book. I love reading about True Father and what he did. Now, the next one is this. This is Princess Catherine. She went to recently it was the 75th commemorative day of Auschwitz. She went there, and you know, there's a lot of people talking about Auschwitz and the Holocaust and everything at this time because it's the 75th anniversary. So, and many people have connections to that time. Like even William Haynes, I don't know if you saw it, but on Facebook he posted something that one of his relatives experiences, because his background is Jewish. Many people are talking about that at the moment, aren't they? So she went there to light the candle. That was very nice. And then if the royalty go there, obviously it brings a lot of attention, doesn't it? And gives it some kind of seal. So then this man, have you heard of him? Sir Nicholas Winton. He did Kindertransport. What he did, he was in Czechoslovakia. He was a big diplomat, very rich man, and he saw what was happening to Jewish people, and he realized, what can I do? So what he did was he organized 8 trains to bring the Jewish children out to Britain. And so he did that. And he falsified their passports, and he got them visas, bribed the Gestapo, everything to get them out. 7 of the trains got out. On when the 8th train was coming out, it got stopped at the border because the war had stopped between Czechoslovakia and Germany, so they didn't get out. But like over 700 people were saved by him directly because all the relatives died. And so that is another amazing person who did something very amazing. And they did This Is Your Life, and he was on it. He thought it was just a documentary, and he didn't realize. So he's sitting there, and then they said, well, everybody who got saved by Nicholas Winton, please stand up. And everybody in the room stood up. He was crying, and his wife was crying. He didn't tell anyone. He didn't tell anyone about it. His wife found a scrapbook with all the names of all the children and pictures and everything, all the things he'd done. And then she did it. She went and got them all to come. That's tremendous, isn't it? That's really, that's his life work. And that man didn't want any recognition. He got a lot of awards from Czechoslovakia and Britain as well. So then, there's this lady called Irina Sandler. That's not her, she's got a Polish name. She's from Poland, and she did a very similar thing. She realized what was going on, and she realized it was unfair, so she took the children and she changed their names. She helped change the names, and she hid them. She gave them to other families in Poland, or she got them out. Because, that was a terrifically wrong thing that was happening. And so people reacted. Of course, you've got this man called Schindler as well. I don't want to talk about him because everybody knows about him. But he's the same thing, very similar. Yeah, so my father didn't just stop at Middle East because, of course, it's very, very, very important. But he also reached out to Mikhail Gorbachev. Like, Mikhail Gorbachev is a very charismatic man. And he, and True Father, remember when we were young, we had this motto, True Father used to say it, must go, sounds like must go. So, must go to Moscow. So that was his goal, right? He wanted to go to Moscow. And so he got that chance. He went to talk to Mikhail Gorbachev. Do you remember him? He had this thing on his head like that. And so Mikhail Gorbachev, perestroika, he instigated that because at that time everything was really like that, very locked and blocked and everything strict. And the least thing he did wrong, he got put in a concentration camp or a gulag or something he'd never heard of again. So President Gorbachev, he tried to reach out to the West and get a, that's what perestroika was. But then True Father went to him and said, okay, that's fair enough. You've already started perestroika, but that alone is not sufficient for reform. You'll need immediately to allow freedom of religion in the Soviet Union. And the president's face fell. He's like, but actually, and Father said, you try to reform everything, and it's time for you to act with the courage that you have shown in reforming the Soviet Union. So actually, he was a bit reluctant at first because he could get killed, obviously, but because he was such a public figure, he did it. He was very, very brave, and he went through with it, and he brought freedom of speech, freedom of religion in Russia. He went on also to, Father said, get relations going with South Korea. He's like, oh, yeah. So he did it. He invited Syngman Rhee to his place, to Russia, and they had a meeting, and they had relations together. You see? So he goes to South Korea. Can you see? He's a communist. He's already connected to Kim Il-sung. He goes to South Korea and makes relationship with them. So then what's Kim Il-sung like? Oh, God, he's doing that. Why? So anyway, it's very diplomatic, isn't it? So Father knew what he was doing. And then, of course, they didn't like it in Russia. Some people, Boris Yeltsin, he thought, no, I'm not letting you do that. And so he intercepted. There was a coup d'etat in 1992. William Haynes was there at the time in Russia, and so Boris Yeltsin took over. But before he was decapitated, kicked out, Gorbachev dissolved the Communist Party in Russia. He resigned as the head, and he dissolved it. And so there wasn't a Communist Party. So that was a big thing that he did. And so Father invited him to Korea, and they watched The Little Angels, and Father congratulated him and praised him because what he did, it could have cost him his life. So you see how True Father is working behind the scenes all the time, not directly, and he can go places where the diplomats can't go. You see? He did the same with Kim Il-sung. I've not got the quote, but he went there. He went to Korea. That was his life dream, to go to Korea, because he went to North Korea, and he was treated all around his area. He went to his own home, the old home where he went. He lived when he was young, and then he went to see Kim Il-sung, and he went in, and Kim Il-sung's like, hello, like this, and True Father just put his arms around him and gave him a big hug. But he said, you're my brother, and he talked to him in the same dialect as if he was his brother. And Kim Il-sung's like, oh, what's happening here? I'm a head of state, but it's okay. And he embraced him and, got his heart. True Father immediately didn't talk about politics or anything. But True Father did talk about politics at the risk of his life, because he was in a meeting with all the dignitaries, and all the members. And True Father went, look, the Juichi philosophy is not going to work. And all the members are sitting like, all faces are completely white, and True Father continued to tell him what to do. You need to get relations going with the West, and he told him what to do. And this is like the head of state of a communist country that could have killed him, poisoned him, or anything, True Father. And he just went, okay. And because they come from the same area, they like the same food and everything like that. And True Father talked to him directly, heart to heart, brother to brother. You see, so you probably know all this, but I just can't. It's just so deep what Father did. And so I'm just going to talk now. I haven't got any slides for this. But True Father, he wasn't in Auschwitz or anything like that, but he was in Hungnam, right? So Hungnam was very like Auschwitz in a lot of ways, wasn't it? It's not like there wasn't gas chambers or anything but there was these furnaces that they had to clean, full of ammonia, and people died very quickly because of the fumes. And then there's the acute starvation and the appalling living conditions, isn't it? So also, like True Father, he doesn't talk about it much, but if you read the book, it's in there. The severe torture that True Father had to endure as well as all that, because they wanted to find out names so they could get more people to torture. So, I feel that True Father really understands deeply about Auschwitz and all the Jewish stuff, and Middle East, North Korea and Russia, deeply, deeply, like they're his brothers or his children. And that's why he took those measures, and he went to the heads of state, and he went to people that were effectively his enemies, so to speak, but he embraced them like they were his brothers, because he cared about the future of humanity. And he knew he had to do something urgently to prevent a war. And so he also understood the futility of the war. As a peace-loving global citizen, this is page 247. It's all religions in the world talk about peace and love, yet they fight each other over peace and love. Israel and Palestine talk of peace and justice, yet both practice violence until children are bleeding and dying. Judaism, the religion of Israel, is a religion of peace, and the same is true of Islam. That's True Father's feeling. That's our feeling as well, because we are unification members. To a different extent, whatever level we're on, he didn't want another war. True Father would always advise against a war. He suggested in the beginning not attacking Saddam Hussein for fear that the whole Muslim population would rise against USA, like I said. Another third world war it would have been. And like people who have lived through the war, they don't want another war to start, isn't it? You know, all these people, that's what they want. They don't want war to start. And so Albert Einstein is a long time. Many people have quoted this quote: peace is not merely the absence of war, but the presence of justice, of law, of order, in short, of government. So the government should be, this is what True Father's talking about, world government. Everybody working together to prevent that kind of thing, and to stop people that are aggressive, taking over from other people, to equal distribution and everything. That's True Father's goal. You know, we have Poppy Day in England every year in November. Poppy Day, Remembrance Day. And it's, what is it we're remembering? The motto is, lest we forget. That's the motto, each November, so that people don't forget the great sacrifice and the suffering and the cost of the war. That's about True Father. And, you know, so True Mother has done many great things too. And it was very beautiful to watch that video, wasn't it? True Mother has a way with people, and people really love her. And so, like, in 1992, for one, she founded the WFWP, Women's Federation for World Peace. And so all women are members of that. In our church, are women. All the women are members, whether they pay their subscription or not. And so it's a great thing that women can get involved like that. And that's what True Mother has done, apart from anything else. And she gave birth to 13 children, which is an amazing achievement, isn't it? Yeah, because like 7 of them were cesareans. You can only allowed to have 4. And she did it because she loved True Father and she knew his desire. And she knew God's desire. I hope I've conveyed it today, that how much I really love and respect true parents and how I've connected everything together. It's not comprehensive, but today we're celebrating True Father's 100th birthday and True Mother's 77th birthday and their 60th wedding anniversary and the holy days, other holy days. So let's think about and reflect on what touches us most about their life and offer thanks to them and their family. There's a lot to be grateful for, isn't there? That concludes my presentation today. It's not comprehensive, as I said, but thank you for listening, and happy birthday to true parents. Dear Heavenly Parents, thank you that we can be together and share fellowship today on this wonderful opportunity, 100th anniversary of True Father's birth and 77th anniversary of True Mother. We're deeply grateful, and we offer our deepest thanks to them and their families, and to all the people all over the world who have done wonderful, amazing things in the name of God and true parents. And also, thank you to all the people here who have dedicated their whole life to following this way. We offer everything to you today, and we pray with deep joy that we can be here and offer the new month, new year ahead. Like True Mother said, it's a new start, 2020, so let's see what we can do. Already many things have been organized, have been achieved, And Mother has given us a new start, a new opportunity in Britain, where we've come out of the European Union, and we are going to go ahead now, see what is going to happen on that level. And so I'd just like to pray a blessing on everybody here, and also the people who are not here. From the bottom of my heart, I report this in the name of Helena Stout, of the Stout family, blessed Central family, Arju.